Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Healed and Chilled. And today we have yet another awesome and amazing, wonderful special guest. And you already know how I like to do it here. I like for the guest to have control of the narrative. So, if you would, in your own words, from your own point of view, can you please introduce yourself and we'll dive right into the interview?
Hi, my name is Tina Coleman, and I am originally from Des Moines, Iowa. And I have actually spent some time traveling throughout the world. I did not start traveling until I was 45. I started, I was a massage therapist for 20 years. I was also a
Hmm.
spiritual teacher for 7 years. So I lived in different places throughout the US. And I did not start traveling until 45. And a week before I was due to travel, I was actually in a car accident that ended my massage career.
Mm.
So, and of course, I booked everything non refundable. So, luckily, I was in good enough shape to go. But that going internationally and seeing different parts of the world, I was in Barcelona, Spain, and also Italy. It completely changed my life. I always knew I wanted to travel, but I never really thought of living internationally until I actually went. And it just
Mhm.
was absolutely amazing, meeting so many great people, having so many great experiences, seeing the amazing architecture. It completely changed my life and opened my mind to living abroad. And so I have been living abroad for the past 4 or 5 years now.
Mm. Absolutely. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I also wrote a book. So I have, I was terrified of turning 50. So I used
Mm.
that to become empowered and inspired. And so then I wanted to empower and inspire other women. So I have actually written a book, which is coming out, and it is 50 Fabulous and Fuckable. And it is
Period.
meant to, and it is meant to empower and inspire women turning 50 to travel and live their best life because I think 50 is just the starting of your life. It's not the ending.
Mm. Yes, 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 yes. There's so much to unpack there. So you mentioned, let's start from the first thing that you mentioned was that you were 45, you're about to go on this trip, and then you get in a car accident. So how did that, if as much as you can share, what happened there?
Mhm.
How did that impact you? And how did you still end up going on your trips?
Well, the irony of this is I originally got into massage therapy because I was hit by a semi. And
Oh.
that introduced me to massage, acupuncture, and chiropractic as a form of therapy. Because I grew up in a
Mm.
household where it was like, rub my shoulders, walk on my back. Never thought of that
Yeah.
as a career. I was going to be an accountant and make money. And
Mm.
so that car accident changed my life. Getting hit by a semi, I was a spiritual teacher, and then this last one, it ended my massage career. And I didn't know it at the time. It took a while for everything to really flesh out. But I had a triple concussion, a double whiplash, three bulging discs in my neck, and unfortunately, there wasn't much damage done to the car.
Oh
But
my
because of
gosh.
how it was impacted, it my body took all the brunt of the impact. And the person that parented me was an 89-year-old lady who was going into assisted living the next week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the universe has a sense of humor. I was just like, could you not have like waited 5 minutes? Like, could we have avoided this somehow?
Right.
And it was really hard because I had booked everything non-refundable. I was so excited about going on the trip. And the trip came about because I had lost my mother and stepfather very suddenly.
Oh,
And
sorry.
yeah, it was brutal. That's like a whole nother episode right there. But it was pretty brutal. And I had found a journal of mine saying that I wanted to go to Italy, Greece, and Egypt. Those were my big three ones from like when I was in sixth grade. And
Oh,
I had decided for my 45th birthday that I was going to go on this trip because life is short. You don't know how much time you have. You don't know how long you're going to be here for. Like we all like to think we're going to live to 90 or 100.
yeah.
My mother passed very suddenly at 58. So
Oh my
very suddenly there
gosh.
was no closure. Same with my stepdad. Like there was no time for closure or anything. I just got the call and next thing they were gone. So and then it happened with multiple other people in my family. So when you realize how precious and short life is and that things can change in an instant,
Mm,
I was like, I am going on this trip. Like
mm.
I'm gonna go do this because we all have reasons not to do the things that we dream about. There's
Yes.
there's money issues, kids, time, we work, like we all have the excuses, and I definitely had them. I was a massage therapist. If I didn't work, I didn't get paid.
Right.
So I didn't have all this extra money laying around to go on a big fancy trip. I bootstrapped the whole thing.
Mm.
But I was determined. I was like, I'm going to do this because if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? I was turning 45 and like I'd never really been out of the country. Like I'd been on a couple of cruises, but not really, traveling internationally and seeing the world. And that was really important to me. So
Right.
that was the importance of this trip. It was like this soul aligned journey that I was on. And when this car accident happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go on it. Luckily, I had nothing like bleeding or broken or anything like that. But I was not in a good space until a few days before the trip. And I was like, I'm going. And so I did seek treatment on the trip, like physical therapy, massage, chiropractic, because I was in a lot of pain. However, it's different when you're in pain and you're seeing this amazing architecture and being in Barcelona and seeing these beautiful buildings and getting to eat tapas and, walking rather than being in bed, feeling miserable, just
Mm.
being angry. Those are two
Mm.
different scenarios.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate. I was still able-bodied, able to walk. Like, I didn't have like a broken leg or anything. But it was very different because that trip completely changed my life. It changed how I viewed the world. It changed
Mm.
what I viewed was possible because I didn't come from money. I didn't ever have a lot of money. I always was living paycheck to paycheck. And I did couch surfing in the hostels and I bootstrapped the
Mm.
whole thing. Yeah. So when people tell me they can't do it, they can't afford it, they don't have time, I'm like, I don't believe you because if I can do it, you can do it.
Mm.
It may not be glamorous. You may not be staying in like 5-star resorts and, eating caviar. But if you really want to go see the world, you can freaking figure out a way to do it. And now there's so many other ways to be connected to other groups and organizations. And there's like workaway programs,
Hmm.
and there's and work study programs and so many different things that you can do it. Even pet sitting and house sitting. So when people tell me, oh, I can't do it, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I'm like, it was my first trip and I decided I was going for 3 weeks. And those are three
Mm.
weeks I did not get paid for. So,
Mm.
yeah.
So, wow. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So, is this because it takes a really determined mind to be like, okay, well, you know what? I want to do this thing. I'm going to make it happen. So, was this
Mhm.
something that you've always had as a mindset, or is this a mindset that you had to grow into because of how life operates?
That's really interesting question. I think that I was born with it. I have just been a naturally stubborn person. And because of everything that I went through as a child, I had to become
Mm.
very resourceful in order to survive.
Mm.
And so it's like I was kind of born into it, but yet you have to develop it. And it's something that I'm even redeveloping now at this point in my life with, bringing the book out and birthing the book into existence because it has not been an easy process.
Mm.
And it's so funny because one of my friends once told me, he's like, when you put your mind to something, you do it. And in my mind, I'm like, but there's all these detours and, things that slow you down and it's not a straight line. When they say success is not a straight line, it's true. It's like dips and valleys and you go in circles and you don't know what you're doing. And like, where's the mountaintop?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that a lot of times, especially with, doing this book and living abroad and everything. It has not been like a clear cut journey, but it has been, very interesting.
Yeah, and I think that that is such a great perfect word, interesting, because even in my own life, like when I was younger, if I would have wrote down what I'd be doing right now today, it was definitely not what I'm doing at all. But I can say, and I can get a sense from you as well, is that um it's not a bad thing.
No,
It's not the quote unquote traditional,
no.
conventional, what they say this is what you're supposed to do. But from my own personal experience, when I got out of school and I was working at this like Fortune like 100 whatever company, I had a nice apartment living in like Georgia or whatever, like doing all the things. And then I start to feel like, man, I'm miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hit me like I hate it here. I hate this job. I was in sales. I hated what I was doing. I hated being away. Like it was just like all these things. And it was like everything, not everything materially, because I'm fresh out of school. Like I don't want to sit here and
Right.
lie like I was out in some fancy place. But it was a nice setup. Everything that society says when you graduate, you should be doing this. But I was so unhappy. Now I some crazy things have happened and caused some
Mm-hmm.
shifts, but I'm much more at peace. I'm much more happy. I'm much more present. So can you share what okay, and then I have another part to that. Is it brings me to it's like part of also when you grow up in different
Mm-hmm.
situations, you have to learn how
Mm-hmm.
to be resourceful. And at the
Oh,
same
yes.
time, once you can become accountable for yourself, after you've had certain experiences, you're like, well, I know what I want to be. I know at the end of the day, I want to be good. I want to be happy. I want to have a good life. And so I think there's a person that sees good life and thinks, oh, just material. And then there's another
Yeah.
person who sees good life and understands materials an aspect, but it's not the only thing. So with that being said, can you share how you got to where you are right now? And then what level of like resourcefulness that back in the day you were like, man, I can't believe I have to go through this. But as an adult, you're like, oh my gosh, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be able to, if I didn't go through this, I wouldn't have been able to conquer or overcome this other situation.
Oh boy, how much time do we have?
Well, I'm at lunch, so not that long.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, we'll try and make this pretty concise then. Okay. Um, so growing up, I was in a very dysfunctional family. I was raised by my mom and grandmother after my mother divorced, and I went through a lot of abuse during that time by many different people. And
Mm,
so because of that, I went to church a lot. Like church and school were my two safe, quote unquote, safe places, even though I got bullied a lot in school. Like it was
mm,
horrendous. So like the having that fortification and foundation of spirituality made a huge difference in my life, and that is really what got me through my childhood. You know,
mm,
believing in God and being able to pray, and because I didn't understand why these things were happening to me or what I had done wrong or
mm.
why people would even do those things to
Right.
me or anyone else. But I always knew that other people had it worse than I did. Other kids had it worse than I did because I grew up at a time where they had the Chicago killings that were going on and all the kids were getting murdered.
Oh
So,
man.
yeah, I grew up in that time. So I was always very grateful that I was, relatively safe in a safe, stable environment. Relatively speaking, like we always had running water and electricity and food
Yeah.
and shelter. Like I never went hungry ever, which was more than I could say for a lot of kids. And so because of those experiences, and praying and really wanting to get out of the poverty that we were in, I valued school. So I
Hmm.
was always a really good student. I was on the honor roll and academic roles and presidential roles since I was in fifth grade.
Hmm.
So, and I graduated with honors, almost valedictorian in my class. So, like
Yeah.
education and education, spirituality made a huge difference in my life, and they were kind of the foundations of everything because they were not things anybody else in my family believed in. I come from a
Mm.
family that can barely read and write.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, no, nobody had graduated high school in my family
Oh
ever
wow.
that I knew of. No, nobody had graduated high school. Nobody went to college. I was the first one to graduate and go to college. So it
Wow.
was a pretty big deal. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like having that kind of determination that I knew that I wanted a better life, that I wanted different things in my life, I think really made a difference in who I became. And it is because of all the turmoil and things that I went through that I have become the
Mm-hmm.
person I am. It's not always easy, and you're
Nope.
definitely not grateful for it in the moment because there's
Nope.
there's a lot more to this story. Let me tell you, honey. Like there's a lot more,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I have always known that I had to get through it by myself. Like my mother and
Mm-hmm.
grandmother were never, they were never there. They were never supportive. I never had any guidance or
Mm-hmm.
a parental direction. Like we had three rules in the house. come home before it's dark. If you want to smoke cigarettes, let us know. And if you want to have sex, let us know. We'll get you on birth control. Those were the three
Oh,
rules. Yeah. Yeah. So
wow.
I
Okay.
know. I know. So, and I never really fit into my family. It wasn't until I actually became a teenager and I started looking a lot like my mother. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am related to you people.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
not that they're bad people because they're
Yeah.
not, they're good people, but I am so radically different from anybody else in my family. And
Mm,
even for my siblings, like they just don't understand me. They don't relate to me. They think I'm completely crazy for living internationally. They just are not supportive in any way, shape, or form. So, and that is kind of the environment I grew up in. I had to make things happen for myself. I had to put myself through college. I never received money from my family or anything like that. So, yeah, it teaches you how to really be resourceful and to rely
mm.
on yourself. So yeah.
Wow. And first, thank you for being authentic and vulnerable and
Mhm.
sharing, because I find that as much as we want to pretend and think that everybody's childhood and upbringing was just fantastic, and like if and nobody likes to talk about the mistakes that were made along the way. Nobody likes to talk about the dark stuff, but the
Mhm.
reality is more people than not are in unhealthy household dynamics. Whether it's less unhealthy than the previous generation or not, it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that it's healthy. So I think that it's good to so what I mean by that is, like, let's say somebody is used to being punched, and then instead of punching, they say, "Well, all I do is slap." It's like, "But yeah, you're still slapping someone. It's
Exactly.
less intense than a punch, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing to be doing to someone else." So, I think, like, these conversations, I think it's good for everyone to sit and reflect within themselves and figure out, like, is there any space that you might be passing that along to someone else? So I'm curious to know, how did you go from you're having these experiences and decide not to be a negative Nancy, like not to be someone who brings others down, and instead write a book to help other people overcome? Like, how did that happen?
I have always believed in the good in the world, even when horrible things were happening to
Mm.
me. I believe that people are inherently good, and I see the good in people, which sometimes is not a good thing. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like I need a reality check on things because I always see the good in people, and that's not
Yeah.
always the case. You do also have to set boundaries and really re- be selective of who you let in your space,
Yes.
which is really a hard thing for me. And I did have a therapist once describe it as you're a house, and some people get to come out to the porch, some people get to come into the living room, some people get to come into the kitchen, but not everybody gets to come in, and not everyone gets to go into the bedroom. You know,
Yeah.
you know. So you have to be selective, and that is something that I still have to work on because I do believe in the good in people. And I was just so extremely terrified about turning 50. I had no idea what was going to happen when I turned 50. And I felt really good, where I was at, in my health and life and everything and my energy levels. Like I'm a pretty energetic person. And so it was really interesting when I started thinking about turning 50. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, do I die? Does it, does like what happens? And
Right.
somewhere along the way, my hair did turn gray, which was interesting. Because
It
believe it
looks
or not,
good though.
I'm really fortunate. And I fought it for a while too, let me tell you. I had been growing gray since I was 15, and it actually really accelerated in my 40s, and I didn't realize it because I had gone blonde for a while, and then I went
Mm.
hot pink, and then that's
Oh,
yeah, it was supposed to be light pink, but it was
okay.
hot pink, and when that faded out, that's when I realized that how gray I was, and so I
Mhm.
went from pink to purple to blue. So you have fun with it.
Right.
So yeah, but writing the book, I really believe it was divinely inspired because I did not sit down one day and be like, I'm going to write a book. No, the idea came to me. The title of the book came to me. I did not sit around and think these things up. But when I sit down to write, it just flows out.
Mm.
So I don't really have, writer's block or things like that. It makes the editing process extremely difficult for me, because it's not something I consciously wrote. And so
Mm,
that's why I really have believed in this book and this mission so much. And I think that it is something that it has been divinely guided. It is something for women, to listen to, and then it will help other women. Because trust me, there are so many times along this process I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this or not.
mm,
I don't know if I really want to do this. And there were several times where I had to be like, do I really want to do this? Because if I do, then I need to do it, or I need to let
right.
it go and let somebody else do this and move on to something else. And this has
Mm.
taken up over 4 years of my life. So I'm kind of ready
Oh,
to birth
wow.
it. Oh, yeah, honey. Oh, yeah. And I had a publisher, and that was a horrible experience. So that is why I'm self publishing. So, yeah, so I'm ready to birth it, to let other people experience it. I really hope that other women to really appreciate it. And I was going to release it after Christmas, but I actually have the goal of releasing it at the end of this month.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes, because it's like it's done. It needs to be edited. It's not going to be perfect. So please just
Right.
bear that in mind. But the message is really good. And I have had a really hard year. And I think other people have had a hard year. And there's crazy things going on in the world right now. And I
Hmm.
think we all need to have a little bit of a laugh and to really embrace change and to really appreciate what we can do as human beings, And so it's like, it's a fun book. Like it is. It's a fun book. It's not serious. It's not going to win a Nobel Peace Prize. It's not going to win literary awards, anything like that. But it is meant to be fun. It's meant to be inspiring. It's meant to give hope.
Mm,
Because trust me, if I can go through all the things I've been through in my life and still come out on the other side and
mm.
still believe in the good in the world and still want to do good in the world, then
Yes.
other women can have hope too. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care where you're at in your life. I mean, I came from being an alcoholic,
Mm,
going through that after my parents died, to this,
mm,
to traveling the world and writing a book. So if I
mm.
can do these things, you can too.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
So so that brings me to another question of it when someone reads the book, like what is the experience? Like sometimes you might have like a roller coaster or it's like, oh, this and that. And like, so what is the experience that you anticipate readers will have?
Well, I hope they have fun reading it for starters, because I really wrote it for the readers. It was hard for me to put my personal experiences in it because I wanted it to be for the readers, about the readers. So
Mm,
having to have stories in there about me was difficult for me.
mm.
But it's really to inspire. Like I'm kind of like a cheerleader in the book. I'm like your sassy aunt. You know,
Okay.
I really am. I am super sassy in the book. And it's like, just freaking do it. Like, you can do this. Like, get out of your
Right.
bed and go do it. And I also talk a lot about, there's three different parts to the book. The first book is like how amazing it is to be 50, how wonderful it is, and how you need to travel. And then the middle part is about, pre-planning, life insurance, wills, pre-planning, things like that.
Mm.
Because I actually was a life insurance agent and funeral sales after my massage career I did. So yeah. And I also talk about my weight loss journey, because I've also lost 90 pounds through all this. And
Oh
I wrap up,
wow.
yeah. And so I talk a lot about alternative medicine, self care, and how I
Mm,
lost the weight through Ayurvedic medicine. So that's in
mm,
the last part of the book, because I do think as women, we don't give ourselves enough self care. And that is kind of, I wouldn't say the joy, but the experience of being in perimenopause and menopause is that you have to give yourself more self care. And that is
mm.
something a lot of women don't. They think getting their hair done and their nails done is self care, and it's not.
Yes.
Getting the massage, getting the acupuncture, the chiropractic, actually taking care of your body so it can function.
Mm,
When I was a massage therapist, I would have women come in, they're like, oh, I can't turn my neck. I'm like, how long has this been going on for? "Oh, about 2 weeks."
mm.
And I'm like, seriously, you should have been here about 2 months ago. Um,
Right.
but it's like being able to do that. And I do give a lot of self care tips that are easy, that you can do by yourself, that you could do at home, that maybe women don't know about. But yeah, because it's like you got to take care of yourself, especially as we're getting older. This is the only body you got, and you know what? You
Yeah.
need more. You need it more than it needs you.
Mm.
You know.
That's true.
Let me tell you. So stretching and yoga and, Epsom salt baths and walks and movement and just taking that time out for yourself is so incredibly important. It
Hmm.
really is.
So you mentioned something also that a lot of women deal with, is not necessarily prioritizing their self because perhaps they were told like, oh, you're selfish to do that, or
Yeah.
guilted into not doing it, or abused to the point where they just don't
Hmm.
even, I hate to use this word, but like they just don't even care. It's like whatever,
Hmm.
or maybe just tired and like, you know what, I'm just giving up. I just, and sometimes, like, I don't care. It's like, I don't care, like, whatever. But then other times, it's like,
Yeah.
I just don't care anymore. So,
Yeah.
from that perspective, or from the lower perspectives, what do you say to those women? And like, what can they get? Because they might say, like, well, it's easier said than done. Of course, you can do this. You've been doing this your whole life. I never done anything cool. So, what would you say to someone like that?
That I understand because I come from a family where the women didn't take care of themselves. I grew up, not taking care of myself really. And so I actually had to learn all these things. And this through being a massage therapist and working in really high end spas and things like that I am giving the information from. This is the same information I would give my clients who are paying $150 an hour to see me.
All right, now.
It is the exact same information. But you need to take it one step at a time. And one of the best things that women can do is giving themselves even 5 minutes to meditate or go for a walk or journal. Like
Mm,
starting there because we have so much noise going on in our heads. And as
yes,
women, we're very rarely in the present moment. We're either in the past or we're like, in the
in the
future, like
future.
5 years,
Hmm.
worrying about all these things that are never going to happen. So, really trying to be present in the present moment is so extremely difficult, but taking that 5 minutes for yourself is really important. And I love a good Epsom salt bath. Like if you've got a bathtub, get some Epsom salt. They're super cheap and you cannot put enough in. Like, trust me,
Right.
put the whole dang bag in, you'll be fine. Toss in a little bit of essential oils, light some candles. That costs like a couple of dollars,
Right.
and that gives you that space and time, that 30 minutes to just be. And
Mm,
that is so incredibly magical. Like having an Epsom salt bath just feels luxurious.
yeah.
Like it does. You put on the spa music, like you get your little spa going on
Yeah.
there. But it's just like it's the little things that will build up over time and creating those really good habits. Like another thing that I really love using as a therapy tool is tennis balls. Super cheap. Super, super cheap. You can roll it underneath your feet to hit all the
Mm,
different acupressure points, which also helps with allergies. You can take it and either lay out it on the floor or put it behind you on a wall, and you can get those knots out of your shoulders and around your
mm,
shoulder blades that we all carry because as women, we store everything in the neck and shoulders. That is where everything goes. So the tennis ball is a magical, magical tool. And this is something I would prescribe to my clients, Epsom salt baths and tennis balls. Seriously, they're
mm.
paying a lot of money to see me, and this is what I would tell them to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mom loves stuff like this too, so I'm gonna like
Mm-hmm.
send her this episode because she's like deep into the research of everything. So I'm definitely gonna send her this. And we are coming up a little bit on the tail end. As much as I thoroughly and honestly and truly could listen to you and just talk, I feel like we're at the point now where we're really just conversing at this point. So I could do this
Exactly.
all day.
I know.
However, unfortunately, we cannot. So, is there anything that you wanted to speak about? Of course, I have my additional questions, but is there anything that you wanted to speak about that you have not yet had the opportunity to talk about?
Well, we have talked about this, but I will reiterate this that I think traveling is the best investment in yourself you can ever make. It is
Oh,
the best
wow.
it is the best education you will ever give yourself. And I do really believe that if more people traveled, that there would be less conflict in the world. Because in the
Mm,
United States, most people do not have passports. They do not travel, they do not go anywhere, they do not understand other cultures, and they only believe what is fed to them through the media, which is
yeah.
usually complete BS. You
Yep.
know, people are told how extremely dangerous Mexico is. No, you shouldn't go down here. Blah 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 blah. I feel perfectly safe in Mexico. I've traveled all over Mexico. I've lived in different places. Mexican people are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet, and well educated too, which we are
Mm,
not told at the U.S.
nope.
So we are told complete BS.
Yeah.
So traveling and being able to explore the world is so incredibly important. And trust me, there's cheap ways to do it because if I can do it, you can do it.
Correct.
Just remember that. You might take some planning. It might not be like the force, the 5-star luxury, but it might be because you could also, one of the things you can do today is offer to take pictures or videos or things like that for hotels and travel platforms. And you never know what can happen. So travel, travel, travel. That is one thing I will tell you.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm going to give you a signature round of applause
Thank you so
for
much,
a
honey.
wonderful, wonderful conversation.
Oh,
And I'm so excited for when your book comes out. Before we go, I do have three cliche questions that I ask
right.
everybody.
Yeah.
So the first one is, if you can think of a time when you were in a darker space and you were younger,
Mhm.
what is one piece of advice that you know now that you really wish you would have known back then?
That everything is going to work out. It's going to be okay.
Mm,
It really is. Like, no matter where you're at in your life, it is going to turn around. Just give it some time.
mm. Yes, 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 and
Mhm.
yes. We all could have used that information multiple times, I'm certain, across the life. All right. This
Absolutely.
second question is, the internet works in mysterious ways, just like the universe does. So, is there any person, place, or organization that you would really like to work with? And if this does come across their desk?
That is really interesting. Well, my bigger goal is to create international living spaces for women so women feel safe to travel.
Ooh.
That is my bigger goal because so many women are scared to travel by themselves. And especially as women get older, they're scared to travel. They think that they can't do it. So I want to create co living spaces in different countries.
Ooh.
So women can not only travel and live there, but we can teach each other, raise each other up, share what we know so we can
Mm,
actually create a better life for not only us, but for the people around us and the communities around us. Because the more
mm.
we learn, change, and grow, we can lift each other up. And that is
Yes.
something I'm really passionate about. So that's like my bigger goal. So if anybody out there can help me with that, I would love it.
Yes. Well, I'm sending a lot of good luck to that one because I would definitely stay there for some time.
Exactly.
Sounds wonderful. So I'm in full support. And the final question, cliche question, of course, and of course I'll put your links in the description. But if someone wants to contact you, what is the best way to do that? And if someone wants to keep up with what you have going on, what's the best way to do that?
The best way to contact me would actually be through my email, which is tcoleman.author@gmail.com. And then I'm on TikTok at Transform Be Courageous on TikTok and IG. And if you go to my TikTok, you go to my bio, it's beacons.ai/transform be courageous. You go to that, and I actually have some free gifts. One on travel. It's just like a cute little fearless traveler starter kit. And the other one is on self love. So
Okay.
if anybody is interested, I have those little freebies, and I'll probably always have some freebies on there because I think information is so important. And this all comes from my personal experience. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of and find.
Awesome, awesome. All righty. So before we end off today, is there anything that you're like, oh man, I really wish I would have mentioned this earlier? Because sometimes that does happen.
Mhm. You just gotta love yourself. You gotta love
Mm,
yourself, love who you are, in the body that you're in, where you're at in your life, because everything changes very quickly, and you're never going to be younger than you are now.
well,
That is just the truth. So go out there, live your dreams, do the things you want to do the things that scare you, and do the things people tell you not to.
mm, yes. I feel like you can elaborate a little bit more on that. I feel like you had something to say, but you didn't say it. Was Go ahead. Go ahead.
Many times we're told that we can't do this, we can't do that, especially as women. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, F all that. go out there and do the things that you really want to do, that are on your heart, that you have the
Mm,
desire to do, or the people that you want to do, like whichever. You know what? Because you regret the things that you don't do more than things that you do.
yes.
You know, and obviously I'm not saying anything illegal or immoral,
Yeah.
or I'm not telling you to rob a bank or anything. But you know what? Go out there and live your dreams and shout out loud and be like the best freaking version that you can do. Absolutely be of yourself.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Well, this was a riveting, wonderful, gem-filled, wisdom-filled conversation, and I'm so thankful for it. I'm going to be sending you so much positivity and good luck and all the wonderful things of life. And of course, if you ever want to come back, you're more than welcome to. I'm looking forward to when your book comes out. I do like reading as well, so I'll be
Oh,
keeping my eyes out there. And go ahead.
okay, great. We'll chat in a minute. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And
Okay,
so
great.
I know everyone got something out of this conversation. I know I sure did. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day and be sure to check everything out because I know those freebies are très magnifique. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.